The government actively promotes and subsidizes EVs and fuel cell vehicles. It has set a target for such so-called new energy vehicles to account for 20% of total new car sales by 2025. Even as the global EV shift picks up pace, Japanese automakers are lagging far behind in terms of market share. With the exception of Nissan, an alliance partner of Renault and an early EV adopter, all other Japanese car makers place far down the global rankings. Once at the forefront of automotive innovation, today, Japan appears to be dragging its heels. Taking stock of the situation, leading brand Honda has shifted gears to pursue a full-scale transition to electric.
EV、FCV の販売比率を2040年にはグローバルで 100% を目指します。
The company has made the bold decision that by 2040 it will eliminate its gasoline and hybrid models, which currently account for 99.5% of production, and sell only electric and fuel cell vehicles instead. This is Honda's Research and Development Lab, a center for next-generation automobile development. Normally off-limits to outsiders, we were granted special access to glimpse the front lines of Honda's transition to electric. Presiding over a strategic executive meeting is Otsu Keiji, Honda's head of R&D. The engineer has been engaged in engine development for many years.
やっぱり全世界的に EV が確実に増えていくのはもう間違いないだろう。だからそういう中でさ、どうやって競争力を確保していくかってことになると思うので。
Overseas markets account for some 80% of Honda's sales, making it imperative for the company to stay competitive in the EV market as well.
いや結局さ EV っていうのはさ何が一番不満かって言ったらさ高いコストで強いられるっていうさ。
The key phrase Otsu keeps repeating at the meeting is cruising range.
言い訳なしで今皆さんが乗ってる車相当のものを提供しない限りは競争力が今の車と比べてやっぱ落ちちゃう。既存の小型車同等あるいはそれ以上の航続距離を提供していく。これを目指すしかないよね。
For Honda, its concern over cruising range is based on SOAR experience. In 2020, the company launched its first mass-produced EV. Equipped with amenities such as the latest large displays, the model emphasized interior comfort. But as a trade-off, engineers had to cut back on batteries, limiting range to just 283 kilometers. With only around 7,000 units sold in its first year, sales have fallen short of expectations. In its bid to extend cruising range, Honda is now working to develop next-generation battery technology, a project the company is staking its future on. If successful, solid-state battery technology promises to revolutionize the EV industry.
非常に薄く高いエネルギー密度を持っておりますので、非常に小さな体積で高容量な電池になっております。従来の5個のこのセルに対しましてこの1個で同等の容量を持つということになります。非常に究極的な電池になり得る。
The key feature of solid-state batteries is that they can store significantly more energy than conventional lithium-ion cells. Competitors, including Toyota, BMW, and Ford, are also developing the technology. But so far, none have succeeded in real-use application. Depending on how constituent materials are combined, solid state has the potential to double cruising range.
入れる分量だとか順番で、その混ぜ方とかによってまた性能とか、耐久性なども変わってくるので。
After much trial and error, Honda's engineers gained confidence they could boost cruising range to at least 1.5 times current levels. Honda has set a goal of bringing EVs equipped with the new battery to market by the end of the decade.
非常に難しいし、課題が多いと言われていて、それはその通りだと思います。ただ、ポテンシャルがあるのも事実、それができるとですね、製造業界における、電池業界における、ゲームチェンジも起こり。
Honda is also developing another next-generation vehicle that offers a step up in terms of range.
こちらが水素を使った燃料電池発電システムになります。実際に走行するテストを行っております。
Fuel cell vehicles use hydrogen to generate power with which to drive electric motors. They emit zero carbon dioxide. The FCV's cruising range reaches 750 kilometers, on par with combustion engine models. Refueling takes only 3 minutes. Honda believes that as with EVs, FCVs can succeed in the global market and become more affordable once hydrogen fueling stations become widely available and the fuel's price comes down.
内燃機関の代わりになるのは EV か FCV か。状況に合わせて技術を開発してたんで、もう完全に遅れると思いますよ。未来変わっていくことを前提にして技術を先に持っておかないと戦えないと思う。
However, Toyota, the world's best-selling automaker, has voiced caution about hastily committing to a full EV shift. President Toyoda Akio says that Japan is not yet ready for total electrification of its vehicles.
EV 化すれば全て済むというのは間違ってます。ガソリンスタンドよりもたくさんの充電ステーションを作んなきゃいけないということです。それをやるのに約30兆円から40兆円必要になります。
Currently, Japan has some 30,000 public EV charging stations. Their number actually saw a decline in fiscal 2020, due in part to aging facilities. How to increase them is an issue now being grappled with. Toyoda says that Japan's current energy mix poses an additional challenge as well. Japan today relies on CO2-emitting fossil fuels to supply over 3/4 of its energy needs. The figures stand in stark contrast to France, where heavy investment in EV is supported by an energy mix where 90% of its power comes from nuclear and renewables. Without a drastic shift in its energy mix, a full shift to EV in Japan would increase the burden on greenhouse gas-producing fossil fuel-based electricity production. Toyoda believes the problem can't be solved without government involvement.
エネルギー政策をどうしなきゃいけないか、我々ね、自動車一社だけその電気自動車にしたってしょうがないんだってね。世の中のいわば産業をどう構造変化していくかというね、難しい話があると思います。
The Japanese government has promised to promote the use of electric vehicles. It plans to increase charging stations five-fold by 2030 and to tackle the energy mix issue.
今の電源構成がそのまま続くという前提であれば、確かにEV というのは必ずしも環境に優しくないと。日本もこのカーボンニュートラルやっていくにあたっては当然のことながら再エネをはじめとするゼロエミッション電源、この割合をどんどん広げていかなければならないというふうに思っています。
While Japan's shift to electric faces major challenges, one core components manufacturer is hedging its bets on China. Hayafune Kazuya is the first senior vice president of Nidec Corporation, a manufacturer of electric motors based in Kyoto. Hayafune is in China on a business trip. He plans to stay for over 2 months.
これね、もういつも持っとかなあかんねん、やっぱり。やっぱパソコンがないといろんなことできないからね。バッグのもうなんか何キロあるかわかんないんだけど、持っていくスーツケースより重くてテレビ番組表みたいな。
He has nearly every minute of his days filled with meetings. Today, he's headed for a state-run electric vehicle maker, the country's third largest in terms of market share. It was also the very first client Nidec found for its EV motor.
看着气色很好啊，你啊，很精神啊。
超元気ですよ。これは合弁の工場で作られてる E アクセル。
Nidec provides the firm with its traction motor system, dubbed the E-axle, a core component at the very heart of an EV that drives propulsion. Nidec brought the product to China after it failed to find customers in Japan. It has already sold over 200,000 units in China, making the company the local market leader. The Chinese firm is making a tough demand regarding future deliveries.
在明年3月份，我立马就就是我立马1个月就可以交2万我的时候，你跟不上你。
The Chinese firm insists Nidec move up the delivery date of their additional order by 6 months.
秋にね、この間言われたから3万6000ぐらいのキャパを我々も備えるようにね準備してますから。
我这边的话就是7月3月你在8、9月份吧，这样做有等有余，不然的话会把人搞得。
そうですね。少し余裕持っとかないと、もう毎回ギリギリのところに来るとちょっときついんです。
わかりました。これちゃんと対応します。
这我完全明白，我跟你的这个。
お客さんから言われてる台数を必ず死守すると。できませんなんて言ったらもう必ずね今もうね A 社 B 社っていうのがいてもうスタンバイしてるんですよ。もう自腹でもう開発して自腹で生産設備も立ち上げていつでも使ってくださいって言ってきてる。だからそんなのに負けられないですからね我々は。
Nidec set up a development base in China in 2020 to get ahead amid the fierce competition. Engineers take apart locally produced motors in search of new ideas for their products.
What is your finding for the cost reduction?
This design combines the motor shaft and the input shaft. 2-in-1.
2-in-1. It is. This is a very big cost reduction.
The supply from China local supplier.
China local.
The name is Song.
Hayafune believes they simply can't afford to be left behind in the whirlwind of China's rapid EV shift.
これすごいでしょ。これ全部 EV ですもん止まってんの。
すべて。
このままね、世界の EV の流れが続いていって日本だけ取り残されると、よく言われるあらゆるものでよく日本はガラパゴス化って言われますけど、そこのガラパゴス化が進んでしまった後に EV だって言われてもこれ完全に遅れを取ってしまう。しかも隣の国である中国から高性能で低価格の EV が入るような世の中にもしもなってしまうと、日本の産業もですね、唯一残された自動車産業も危うくなる。
Seki Jun, a former Nissan executive, became the chief executive officer of Nidec in 2021. He aims to make a push into the world market, including the EU, using China as a stepping stone.
2025年ぐらいにですね、この今の、少し地域ごとにばらつきがあるものがですね、一挙に加速すると見てます。我々は自動車会社さんが欲しいっていう分全部供給するつもりでいますけど。
The wave of change sweeping the world's auto industry hasn't come without collateral damage.